You know, sometimes the biggest stories, the most compelling mysteries, don't come from some massive, detailed report. Nope. They come from these tiny little scraps of information, an overheard phrase, a note left behind. Today, we're going to take one of those tiny fragments and see just how big of a world we can build from it. Let's get into it.
Here it is. This is the whole thing, our entire source for today's deep dive. Just 4 words: Davy's Farm Cooler Shelter. I mean, it sounds like a clue from a really tough crossword puzzle, right? Or something you'd scribble on a napkin and forget about. But it's a puzzle, and for the next few minutes, you and we're the detectives on the case.
And that's the real question, isn't it? On its own, it's pretty much nonsense. It's so vague, so ambiguous, but honestly, that's what makes it so cool. It's basically an open invitation for us to start interpreting, to start building a story around these 4 little words. So let's start breaking down the clues.
And boom, right out of the gate, we hit our first and maybe biggest snag. Did this source say Davies with an E, or was it Davis? It seems like such a tiny detail, but a single sound can change literally everything. We could be talking about 2 completely different families, 2 different places, 2 totally separate stories. We just don't know. So for now, let's just keep both possibilities rattling around in our heads as we go. Okay, so to crack this thing wide open, we've got to look at each piece of the puzzle. We're going to take this phrase apart, 1 word at a time, and really examine all the possible meanings hiding in there.
All right, first up, the name. Davies. Or maybe Davis. Either way, this immediately tells us something important. This isn't just some random collection of words. There's a person, a family, at the heart of this. We've got our main character, even if we know absolutely nothing else about them yet. It gives our mystery a human face.
Okay, next up, farm. Your brain probably jumps straight to, green fields, a red barn, the whole shebang. But hang on. In today's world, farm can mean something totally different, right? Are we talking about a server farm, just humming with rows and rows of computers? Or maybe a render farm, churning out special effects for a movie? All of a sudden, our rural story could be a high-tech thriller. Then we get to cooler. Super straightforward, right? A refrigerator, a big walk-in cooler for produce or something. But what if it's not literal? What if it's a feeling, a state of being? Like a project that's cooled off or a situation that's become calmer. This one word could flip our story from being about temperature to being about temperament. And that brings us to the last word, shelter. This one feels heavy. It means safety, protection. But the million-dollar question is, protection from what? A tornado? Sure, that's the obvious answer, a storm shelter. But what if the threat isn't the weather? What if it's a shelter from the public eye, from corporate espionage, a place to hide something or someone? The answer to that question changes everything. Okay, so we've taken all the pieces out of the box, we've looked at them from every angle. Now for the fun part. Let's start putting them together and see what kind of pictures we can build. Let's start with the most obvious one, scenario A. The literal take. There's a family, the Davies. They own a farm. And on that farm, there's a big walk-in cooler. And because it's built tough, probably into the ground, it also doubles as their storm shelter. Yeah, it paints a picture of rural practicality. Simple, straightforward, totally believable. It's the cleanest, most logical reading of the words. But is it the only story? Because this is where it gets really interesting. Let's look at scenario B. What if Davy's Farm isn't a place at all? What if it's a code name? For a tech project, a secret initiative. Cooler now means the project's been put on ice, it's inactive. And shelter means it's been mothballed, hidden away from prying eyes. This is a story of corporate intrigue and secrecy. And just think, what if it was the Davis Farm project? Maybe that was the rival company's secret plan. See how quickly the possibilities just explode? So there you have it. 2 completely different worlds spun from the exact same 4 words. And this really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. That massive canyon between the tiny scrap of information we have and the universe of stories our minds can create from it. And this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, we have our 4 little words, our facts: Davies, farm, cooler, shelter. But on the other side, look at that flood of questions. Who are they? Where is this? Why is it cooler? What are they sheltering from? The real story isn't in the words, it's in all that empty space. It's what our brains do automatically to fill in those gaps. Which means that a fragment like this is never really a conclusion, is it? It's a prompt. It's not the end of a story, it's the start of 1,000 different stories. The point isn't to find the right answer, because we can't. It's to see just how many answers we can create. And that leaves us with one last thing to chew on. At the end of the day, what's actually more powerful here? The tiny, isolated piece of data we started with? Or our incredible, uniquely human impulse to take that data and build an entire world from it? I think the answer to that says a lot about, well, pretty much everything.